Norse in Wonderland, where nothing's as it seems. Norse in Wonderland, the truth will haunt your dreams. Norse in Wonderland, where nothing's as it seems. Norse in Wonderland, the truth will haunt your dreams.
In part 1, we broke down the biology, the footage, and the echoes of Assassination's past. But the more you look at the official story, the more it crumbles. This wasn't chaos. This was choreography. They say the suspect was 71 years old. At that age, most people are struggling with stares, but apparently this guy went full Assassin's Creed with the rifle. And their big evidence? A 10-year-old email. That's not forensics, that's fan fiction. Somewhere out there, my old Hotmail account is probably plotting a coup, too. And let's not forget, they claim he yelled, "Shoot me," during the arrest. Honestly, that's more believable as karaoke than as a confession. They want us to believe the shooter was some crusty old man, 71 years old, climbing a building with a rifle, taking a precision shot, then climbing down and running off. Really? That's the story? It's the same playbook we've seen before. Find someone eccentric, vulnerable, or unstable, someone who looks guilty enough on paper, and make them the face of the crime. Just like Oswald. Just like Sirhan. It's not about logistics, it's about optics. And then we get the evidence, a random email from 2013 where this man supposedly offered to place bombs at the Salt Lake City Marathon. First of all, seeing an email is not proof of anything. You'd have to prove who sent it, from where, and under what circumstances. Emails can be spoofed, accounts compromised, metadata fabricated. But instead of proof, we get headlines. The email is old, it's flimsy, and it's irrelevant. But it's convenient. It makes him look dangerous retroactively. It builds the profile of a villain. And that's the only purpose it serves. Let's talk about George Zinn, the man they paraded in cuffs yelling, "Shoot me," while the caption on live footage declared, "The shooter has been caught." Here's the problem. Hours later, the story shifts. Suddenly, Zinn isn't the shooter. He's just some gadfly arrested for obstruction of justice. Which one is it? This is the same playbook we've seen before. Public theater. Arrest someone on camera to satisfy the crowd's demand for instant justice. Emotional cue. His shouted, "Shoot me," wasn't evidence. It was theater. That one soundbite burned his guilt into millions of minds before a single piece of forensics was present. Narrative backpedal. Once the adrenaline fades, quietly downgrade the charges. By then, the story is set. He's guilty in the public imagination. Backfill the villain. Cue the resurrection of that 2013 terroristic email, enough to taint him in the headlines, never enough to hold up in a real investigation. Meanwhile, nobody asked the obvious question. How does a 71-year-old man scale a building with a rifle, set up a precision shot, and escape, all while being loud enough to shout at police on the way out? Also, he was limping, so I don't know if they tackled him prior to arresting him, but the dude could barely walk. Zinn isn't the assassin. He's the distraction, and focusing on him means ignoring the real shooter and the real script. But before we even get to the gun cue, there was another moment, one that looks less like coincidence and more like stage setting. A man traveled all the way from Florida just to attend a second day of Kirk's tour, if that's what you want to call it. His only goal, to press Charlie on Israel. Kirk himself called out how strange it was. He said it right there on stage. The man was dressed oddly, making a spectacle of himself, clearly trying to stand out. And Kirk fired back, telling him, "You need to go have a family so you'd have better things to do." That exchange wasn't just random heckling. It was confirmation, a probe. Was Kirk still holding firm on his stance toward Israel? Was he going to keep speaking that message? The answer was yes. He doubled down. He didn't waver. And that matters, because once the stance was confirmed, the next part of the script was already waiting. Later, another audience member asked about massacres and gun violence. A different question, a different tone. Kirk didn't just accept it, he pushed back. He asked, "Are we including gang violence in that?" And the person's response was just one word. "Great." Not a real answer. Not even a continuation of the conversation. Just a flat, out of place word that doesn't belong in normal dialogue. And the instant that word left his mouth, the crack of the rifle. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's choreography, a marker followed by a trigger, a script unfolding in real time. Look at the sequence. First, the man from Florida presses on Israel, confirming Kirk's stance. Time passes, other questions roll by. Then the gun question, with its strange, scripted-sounding reply. Great. And then the execution. That wasn't just Q&A. This was ritual. Assassination as messaging. Why does every political assassination come with a Patsy whose story doesn't add up? Why is weak or irrelevant evidence enough for headlines, but not enough for truth? Why does nobody ask about the crowd member whose question lined up with the bullet? And why isn't anyone asking about the man who traveled from Florida to press Kirk on Israel first? Most of all, who benefits from these scripts repeating? We live in the gap between what's seen and what's said. I stand rooted in truth, courage, and protection of the innocent. I choose awareness over ignorance. I speak what must be spoken, even when the world is silent. And if anything ever happens to me, it's more than a convenient accident. I didn't do it to myself. I'm happy, healthy, and cautious.
Chasing the rabbit, down we must go. Where does it end? Nobody knows. Hurry up now, we're running out of time. You better keep up or get left behind. Norse in Wonderland, where nothing's as it seems. Norse